Previously on Stay in Your Lane.
When you talk about agricultural, you also have the other side of the equation, don't you, John? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, geopolitical games are a two-way street, and
Right.
and the agricultural sector is going to suffer. Um, so easy. They're
No.
they're not easy to understand.
Do you see a change coming if we have a change? And what type of impact would it look like, or what can you share with us? What historically happens, or what do you anticipate?
Well, I mean,
First off,
it,
is that a fair question?
well, it's first of all, as you know, it's difficult to predict what. A lot of it depends on who wins, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is that both political parties in the U.S. tend to indulge in China bashing. It's kind of it's a good election ploy. But at the end of the day, um, I think I want to say not much is going to change.
Okay.
There is a possibility that if Trump wins, there's going to be draconian tariffs on China, which is what we have heard may happen.
Okay.
But but nobody's sure that it will happen like that. And and that's partially because of, again, the other side of the coin. Like, if you do that, there's going to be a quid pro quo, and there's going to be inevitably a very strong lobby against it. So it's uncertain what's going to happen there. And if the Democrats win, the anticipation is that it's going to be more uh, stable, but there's not much of an anticipation of tariff relief, even though you would think that, demographically speaking, the Democrats would want to reduce tariffs, since it's sort of the less well-off part of the country that tends to benefit from low tariffs. Having said all this, personally, I don't see there's going to be a huge difference when the chips are down.
I see it as more a negotiation technique.
Well, now you got me. I think that's a, a very clear and brilliant statement. But you know what? You and I, we're just business people.
Yeah, we're
So
not doing the negotiating.
we're not doing the negotiation. And if you knew, and I agree
Jesse,
with
get
you,
in here. We need a negotiator.
Yeah,
I
sure.
mean,
I'll do
I
that.
mean, I agree with you 100%, John. The negotiation, if you say to somebody, I tell you what, if you don't do what I'm asking you to do, I'm going to slap tariffs on you, right? And then the other guy doesn't do it, and you slap tariffs, and then but you make him move so that he does what you want to do. Then
Exactly.
predictably, you would want to then get
We
your
got to
stick
start
back.
here so we can get here,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
We don't
But
want to start
nobody
way
seems
over
to be
there.
doing
We
that.
want to,
Yeah, but nobody seems to be doing that. They keep on, they again, it's complicated, and once you get involved at a geopolitical level, it's very difficult to analyze in I
yeah,
guess
no.
in a short time span.
I'm in transportation here in the North American region. Um, I don't profess to know everything about those. That's why you're here, because you can speak to a lot of the things that we don't get to see or understand, and share with our viewers a very intelligent, well thought out picture of what's going on, and how we're co manufacturing and working with China, and what nearshoring or reshoring problems are, and reasons why this hasn't happened when you'd think it would be ideal in certain scenarios. Um, Michael, this has been enjoyable for me personally, and thank you, Jesse, for setting it up. Is there anything that you would like to share with our viewers, Michael or Jesse?
Yeah, I would just reiterate what Michael said about even and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Michael, is that Mexico doesn't have the natural resources that China has. So a lot of the products that we make, I don't know exactly if they can necessarily be made in Mexico. They might be assembled in Mexico. I guess that would be another alternative. But again, just like y'all both reiterated, is that the logistics aren't there yet. So that might be a viable option, but I don't see it happening anytime in the near future.
Yeah, I I I would add. I mean, I agree with what Jesse said. It's not so much, I guess, natural resources, but again, Mexico has the potential to be a huge manufacturing center, John, as far as I'm concerned. But uh, they don't have the know-how, and they don't have, the underlying supply chain component. If you're going to make sophisticated products, you need a very sophisticated supply chain that fits into that. Think of, the automotive industry. You just can't make a good car if you don't have a good supply of engine parts and windscreen wipers. It sounds silly, but that's the way it works.
Right.
Um, and Mexico isn't geared for that. Now, it could be, and one example of what could happen is that Chinese factories, Chinese companies invest in Mexico and set up there and become, in effect, Mexican nationals, even though it's Chinese
Bring the
ownership.
tribal wisdom and the tooling and the
Yeah, and you could do it that way, but once you start doing that, you're going to potentially expose yourself to geopolitical problems. I mean,
cartels.
some people have said, if you, Mexico, dare to do some of that stuff, we're going to slam you with tariffs just as much as the other guys. So, at the end of the day, look, the bottom line, John, in my view, everybody is looking
Mhm.
for the best solution for their business. And that solution, the US market, from my perch, John, is one of the most competitive markets in the world, which means that you can buy stuff in America that is better made and cheaper than practically anywhere in the world. And I can tell you this from experience. I'm right now, as Jesse may have told you, I'm in Italy and I see stuff, you know, in the stores that we can buy in the States for better quality at a fraction of the price. So that's due to a supply chain dynamic. The
Mhm.
US is a formidable marketplace. And the people that do well in that marketplace have very strong supply chain, very strong logistics, and a very resilient system in place. Now, resiliency, as you know, John, you can be incredibly resilient, or you can be incredibly competitive, but often you can't be both.
Right.
In other words, to be competitive, you take a risk of resiliency. I mean, to be resilient, I mean, frankly, you want to be really resilient, manufacture everything you do in America. There you go.
Right.
You're gonna be safe there, but you won't sell much because your costs are not going to be there. So this incredible competitive angle of the U.S. market is pretty much compelling people to go far and wide to seek the best quality for the best price. And China is an extreme example because you can't go much further than China.
Right.
And as Jesse pointed out, they speak a different language, they have a different mentality, a different culture, and yet you can get magic out of these guys in terms of quality and price. Um, and and now there are constraints that are pushing people out, but the general, if you want, commercial momentum still favors China in pure terms of sourcing and supply chain. And if you add to that the political element of the Chinese market, which the US government does not want to be closed for US companies, right? They
Right.
don't want the China market, 1.4 billion people that want to eat sausages, not to buy US pork. Do you see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And so there's limits to what this geopolitical influence can achieve. And you need as a player in those waters, you need to be conscious of that limitation, and you need to play the chess game accordingly. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Well, it sounds like you've been doing this since 1978.
Thanks, John.
Yeah,
You age.
absolutely. I've enjoyed it, and thank you for the time. Thank you for sharing with us. Love to have you on again in the future. Maybe we'll do something after we get through the election and maybe into the springtime and see where we sit.
Yeah,
If that works for
yeah.
both of you, we'd love to
Yeah,
have
that
you.
sounds great.
All
We'd
right.
love to have you too. And by the way,
Yeah.
I salute you for what you've achieved. I've observed that you've developed a very successful podcast, even though it's a medium I'm not that familiar with, but I respect it. And I understand you have a very substantial following. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you. We try to do it on value. We can't, I can't compete with the college co-eds. So, we have to do what we do and share how we operate, based on merit and high quality and high character, those things first. So, we hope to keep it going. We've got a great company, great organization, founded on great people, which I think is what is more important than anything else. So, thank you so much for participating, and until next time, stay in your lane.